Thank you, Senators and colleagues, very much for this hearing, even more importantly for all of your leadership when we passed the Restore Act, because the three of you were extremely supportive and involved. And of course, it was a big win. You know, the Deepwater Horizon disaster was the biggest environmental disaster in our nation's history. Huge impact to the Gulf Coast in particular. So the Restore Act was a big win, dedicating 80% of the Clean Water Act civil penalties paid by the responsible parties to restoration and rebuilding. Understanding the critical need for that, of course, I was an original co-sponsor and worked diligently to get the Restore Act passed through our Senate EPW committee. I thank the chairman for her leadership. We passed it there unanimously in November 2011, unanimous and passionate support. And then we passed it through the Senate in March of 2012. Then, as a leading Republican conferee on the highway bill, I continued to make the enactment, the full final passage enactment of the Restore Act, an absolute top priority by insisting that it be included in the final version of that highway bill. As you know, no one felt the effects of the Deepwater Horizon disaster more than the citizens of Louisiana. Our coastline experienced over 671 miles of oiled shoreline. That's 1.5 times the miles of oiling than experienced by all other states combined. And besides having that over 60% of shoreline oiled, Louisiana also had about 90% of the total oiled marsh, and that happens to be the most sensitive habitat to oiling, so that's a significant impact. As a result of the spill, our economy, of course, took a huge hit as well. Our seafood and recreational industries in particular were devastated. Fortunately, the Restore Act will provide the critical funds needed to help ease that real damage. Given the importance of the Restore Act, I've kept a very close watch since its passage on the manner of implementation and have expressed several concerns along the way, which I'll also do today. I've requested multiple briefings with Treasury regarding pending regulations, as well as a meeting with the Secretary of Commerce, Penny Pritzker, to discuss my particular concerns regarding the Council's process in determining how funds will be distributed under certain provisions. We've made progress, but I also want to express some of those concerns today, 4 in particular. Number 1, the allocation of funds under Bucket 2 of the Restore Act. I understand the Council has just announced the process for evaluating and submitting restoration projects under this component, and that the Council members may begin submitting projects as early as next month, with project evaluation and selection activities taking place later this fall. Given that these projects will be funded with available funds from the Transocean settlement, and we don't yet know how much in civil penalties BP will be required to pay, I want to stress the importance of refraining from nickel and diming these funds. We want to move quickly, we want to start, everybody agrees with that, but we don't want that to turn into ultra-small projects because of limited resources now. The funding priority list to be developed by the Council should primarily concern projects that contribute to the large-scale, comprehensive Gulf restoration envisioned under Bucket 2. Point number 2, I want to emphasize that the 4 priority criteria for Bucket 2 listed in the actual statutory language should take precedence over the objectives contained in the comprehensive plan developed by the Council. The Council should also give priority to projects that address multiple criteria as opposed to only one. Point number 3, and this also has to do with Bucket 2. Under the plain language of the Restore Act regarding Bucket 2, funds distributed under Bucket 2 should only be used for projects that would restore and protect the environment. In Treasury's proposed rule, however, Treasury has unilaterally decided to include economic projects as eligible under Bucket 2. and that's contrary to the clear statutory language. I'd urge you all to just literally look at the statutory language here and the proposed regs. They do not line up, and that's serious. So in order to avoid unnecessary litigation that would delay the distribution of much-needed funds, Treasury should resolve this issue before issuing the final regs. Point number 4, and this has to do with bucket 3. Bucket 3 will be divided among the states according to a formula to be established by the Council by regulation based on the weighted average of 3 criteria, and they're developing that formula. In continuing with this process, I want to encourage the Council to ensure that all of the Council members are fully engaged in the process and that they give input, and also that the Chair should vote independently and in line with the intent and language of the statute, not just for whatever the majority of the states may work out on their own. I think that's very important. So those are the 4 main continuing concerns I wanted to express. Of course, Louisiana has a very strong interest in making sure that the implementation process is conducted in a fair and transparent model. I know we all support that. Despite my pending concerns, I would like to commend all those involved for their hard work and dedication to ensuring the successful implementation of all parts of the Restore Act. Thank you.